Yo, what's up, guys? The season has just ended and the 2017 playoffs are about to begin. So I decided we'd throw in the playoff matchups from this season into a playoff simulation in NHL 17. So in the West, you got Chicago and Nashville, Minnesota and St. Louis, Anaheim and Calgary, Edmonton and San Jose. Edmonton's actually making the playoffs for the first time since 2005-06, I believe, when they went to the Stanley Cup Finals against Carolina. In the East, you got Ottawa and Boston, Rangers and Canadiens, Columbus and Pittsburgh, and Toronto and Washington. So before we get started, I'm going to give my predictions for each series. So I think Washington's going to defeat Toronto in probably 5 or 6 games. At the most, I don't think it could go 7 games because the Leafs are pretty young and the Capitals are a pretty veteran team when it comes to the playoffs, but they haven't gone far. Like, they haven't gone past the second or third round ever with the Alexander Ovechkin era. So I think Washington's going to take this series. In this series, Pittsburgh and Columbus, I'm a Columbus fan somewhat as well, but I think Pittsburgh still has what they need in Crosby and Malkin and stuff like that, so they should easily be able to get by Columbus, and I'd say around 6 games, at the most 7. Columbus is still learning. They did have a very good season this year, but as of lately, they've lost like 5 of their last 6. So then you got Montreal and the Rangers. This one's a bit of an interesting series because both teams had a very good regular season, so I think, though, Carey Price is better than Henrik Lundqvist because Lundqvist is a bit older. So I think Montreal is going to come up top in 7 games against the New York Rangers. Now on to Ottawa and Boston. I'm a Sens fan, and I don't think the Bruins have been very good against us. Like, the Sens this season actually swept them in the series like 4-0 or something like that. I know it's different when it comes to playoffs, but I do think the Sens have the upper hand because we have a lot of depth with like people. Like, if, say, Bobby Ryan got injured, we could honestly just throw in like a player like Chris Neal or something as well. Like, we have a lot of depth on the team. Victor Stahlberg, players like that. So I think my Sens will beat the Bruins in 6 games. And then in the West, you got Edmonton and San Jose. This one's a bit of an interesting one because Edmonton's played really, really well. And Connor McDavid actually finished the season last night with 100 points. San Jose, though, went to the Stanley Cup Finals last season, so they got a bit more veteran presence in their lineup. But I think somehow the kids are going to prevail, and Edmonton's going to win the series in 7 games. Then on to Anaheim and Calgary. This one is a bit of a different one as well because Calgary does have some youthful talent, but they also have a couple veterans in the lineup like Giordano, but he doesn't have much playoff experience. The Ducks also have a lot of playoff experience, so I think personally the Ducks are going to take the Calgary Flames in 6 games. A lot of these rounds will go to 6 games. I don't think they're all going to go to 7. Then St. Louis and Minnesota. Minnesota did finish the better of the 2 teams. However, I think St. Louis has more experience in the playoffs. Like the last few years, they beat out Chicago last season, and Chicago's a lot better of a team than Minnesota is. So I think St. Louis is going to defeat Minnesota in 6 games as well. And then finally, Chicago and Nashville. Obviously, Chicago is going to take this series. Nashville has been good this year, but Chicago is just way too much of a powerhouse still, with Taze Kane, Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, Corey Crawford. So I think Chicago could defeat Nashville in 6 games as well. So that's my predictions. Let's just get on to the simulation and see who EA has winning out of all these series and who will win the Stanley Cup this season. Personally, I think Washington will get it done in the East, like to get done to the playoff finals. And then in the West, it's kind of hard to determine that, but I say maybe somebody like a dark horse, like Edmonton could potentially go far this year. You never know, because Connor McDavid could just carry his team, and then people like Patrick Maroon have been even stepping up this season. So we're not gonna go into the slow simulation until we get to the Stanley Cup Finals, but let's sim one game at a time. So first game, is Chicago and Nashville. Let's see who wins game 1, and it's going to be Chicago. Not sure what the score was on that game, but Chicago takes game 1. Anaheim and Calgary, who takes game 1? It's going to be the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, or well, Anaheim Ducks. I had to say Mighty Ducks probably because I've been working on my roster thing, which should be coming out pretty soon. Washington and Toronto. This should be Washington. If it's Toronto, that would be pretty surprising. And it is Toronto. What the hell is this? The kids managed to stifle Alexander Ovechkin, and they take a 1-0 lead. Montreal and the Rangers, this is going to be a tight one probably, and it's going to be the Montreal Canadiens, so interesting there. Minnesota and St. Louis, who's going to win game 1? It's the St. Louis Blues. San Jose and Edmonton is going to be San Jose. I guess Brent Burns in our defensive core is helping them. Columbus and Pittsburgh, and it's Pittsburgh that takes game 1. And then my Sens and the Bruins, it's going to be the Bruins that take game 1 in Ottawa. Damn, that sucks. So that's who should be taking game 1 in the series according to EA. Now on to game number 2. And it's a tie series now, Chicago and Nashville. So Nashville managed to steal a game in Chicago, which is pretty crazy for them. And good for them actually as well. Anaheim and Calgary, and it's another tie series. Toronto, Washington, another tie series. Wow, all these series are getting tired, except for Montreal is taking a 2-0 lead on the New York Rangers. As much as I hate the Habs fans, there you go. Or Habs, that's for you Habs fans. St. Louis takes a 2-0 lead on Minnesota. San Jose is taking a 2-0 lead on the young Edmonton Oilers. I think they took both. I know they didn't take both games in Edmonton, I was going to say. Because that would be weird. Columbus and Pittsburgh. Will Pittsburgh take it? No, they won't. Columbus manages to tie the series up. So if Columbus could win their first ever playoff series and knock out Pittsburgh, that would be pretty impressive. They have played Pittsburgh before a couple years ago, and Ottawa has tied the series with the Bruins. So most of the series are tied. Chicago is taking a 2-1 lead with the first game in Nashville. Calgary is actually taking a 2-1 lead on Anaheim now, surprisingly. And Washington has came out with 2 straight wins, and Toronto is now falling down 2-1. I was happy when Columbus won yesterday because my favorite player, Cam Atkinson, scored the winner, which was a shorthanded goal. So Rangers managed to pull within 1 in the series, and same with Minnesota, and same with Edmonton. So all the series are pretty much 2-1 at this moment, and they still will be after these 2 games. Columbus takes a 2-1 lead on Pittsburgh. Wow, surprisingly. We'll check the player stats after this round as well and see how it compares. Well, and eventually we'll see how it compares to the actual playoffs, or you guys will be able to determine. And the Boston Bruins have taken a 2-1 lead on the Sens. Not good. And Nashville's tied it up, so that game looks like it might go 7 games eventually. It's been 4 already. It could still go 6 games. That one's tied as well. And wow, Toronto's actually forcing a minimum of 6 games with Washington. That's kind of interesting. It's probably Austin Matthews. His overall is too good or something in this. St. Louis is taking a 3-1 lead on Minnesota. So the rest of the series though are all pretty much tied up, and except for that one, San Jose is taking a 3-1 lead. So it looks like the Oilers and the Wild are on the brink of elimination. And Pittsburgh's tied the series up going back to Pittsburgh, so that's a big win for them in Columbus. And will the Sens tie it up? Yes, they will. So the Sens force probably a game 6 as well, or a game 6 for sure. Next game, Chicago takes the lead in the series over Nashville. Calgary takes the lead. And Rangers have taken a 3-2 lead on Montreal. Montreal was up 2-0 in the series, but Rangers have battled back to win 3 straight. So, Habs fans, how do you like that? Them apples. Henrik Lundqvist must be dominating or something. St. Louis has a 3-2 lead now as Minnesota's pulled back within 1. Same with Edmonton pulling back within 1 against San Jose. And Columbus has taken a 3-2 series lead and has the former Stanley Cup champions on brink of elimination. And the Ottawa Senators take a 3-2 lead on Boston. Okay, let's see. And Chicago has eliminated Nashville in 6 games, which was my prediction, I think, actually. So if that actually happens in real life, that's pretty accurate for sure. And wow, Calgary has forced a game 7. So it's going to be a game 7 in Anaheim coming up. Toronto has lost, so Washington forces a game 7 in Washington. So somehow Toronto manages to force a game 7. I don't know how, but. And the Rangers have defeated the Habs in the first round. Wow, that is a bit of a surprising one. Rangers win 4-2. So it's kind of the opposite of what I said, because I said Montreal in 6 games, I think. So next series, and the St. Louis Blues have defeated Minnesota in 6, which was one of my predictions as well, I believe. Another series just ended. Yep, San Jose takes out Edmonton in 6 games. So I guess Connor McDavid does not get it done in the playoffs. And wow, Pittsburgh forces a game 7 in Pittsburgh. So Columbus has to win that game. And then will Ottawa move on to the second round for the first time in quite a while? No, they won't. Boston forces a game 7 in Ottawa. That's a bit scary. Next game is Calgary and Anaheim in game 7, and it's going to be done by the Calgary Flames. So Calgary eliminates Anaheim, which won the Pacific Division this season. That's kind of surprising. And wow, Toronto defeats Washington in 7 games. So Alexander Ovechkin going down with a round 1 defeat at the hands of the young Leafs, which is really surprising. And Columbus defeats Pittsburgh in game 7, and Columbus has defeated the former Stanley Cup champions. So bye-bye Pittsburgh and Washington in round number 1. That's pretty interesting. And Sens and Bruins, who else goes on to the next round? It's going to be the Ottawa Senators who defeat the Bruins in 7 games. So in round number 2 now you got Chicago, St. Louis, Calgary and San Jose, Toronto and Columbus, and the Rangers and the Senators. So if Senators and Leafs get on to round 3, it will be the Battle of Ontario to see who goes into the Stanley Cup Finals, which is pretty crazy. Let's just check the player stats before we get on to the finals. Or, well, not onto the finals, onto the next round. So leading the entire league was Alexander Steen with 10 points in 6 games. Brad Marchand also had 10 points in 7 games, continuing from his regular season success. Bergeron had 8 points, so I guess some of the Boston Bruins players played very well, but they still got eliminated in Game 7. Patrick Berglund, Nick Schmaltz, wow. How does Nick Schmaltz lead them in? Wow, Mike Hoffman, 8 goals in 7 games, propelling the Sens to a round 2 matchup against the Rangers. Wow, Zibanejad had 7 assists, so yeah, Zibanejad and Brassard have to play against their former teams, I guess, in this series. On to goaltenders, and looks like the King, Henrik Lundqvist. Yep. Henrik Lundqvist with a 1.84 goals against average. Well, Frederik Andersen actually had a 1.5 goals against average and went 4-2 against the Washington Capitals. So, despite his injury, which he had in the last game, or the game against the Penguins, he comes back for the playoffs and stifles the Capitals. So, that's the first round of the playoffs. Pretty interesting stuff there. Let's see who goes on to the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. So we'll just wait till we get to the finals before we get into actual simulations. So Chicago and San Jose take game number 1. And Toronto takes game 1 against Columbus. Wow. God damn it. Come on, Columbus. And the Sens take game 1 against the Rangers. Wow. Chicago takes game 2. So Chicago has St. Louis right where they want them. Calgary, though, ties up the series with San Jose. And Toronto has taken a 2-0 lead over Columbus. What the hell is this? If EA Sports says Toronto's going to win the Stanley Cup, I'm going to be like, the fuck is this shit? And Ottawa's taken a 2-0 lead. So the Battle of Ontario might happen in round number 3 this year in real life, guys, if this is accurate enough. I don't think it is, but still. Chicago's up 3-0 on St. Louis, and looks like they might go to another Western Conference Finals. They've been to them a lot in the last 5, 6, 7 years. So San Jose has taken a 2-1 series lead on Calgary, and Columbus has crawled back within 1 of the series. Will the Sens take a 3-0 lead? No, they will not. Rangers take game 3. Will Chicago be able to sweep St. Louis and get into the Western Conference Finals? No, they won't. St. Louis manages to stay alive another day. And who will take, or will it be a tie series in this one, or will it be a 3-1 lead for San Jose? It will be a 3-1 lead for San Jose, so it looks like it might be Chicago-San Jose in the Western Conference Finals this year. And Columbus has tied the series back up with the Leafs, so at least they crawled back and tied it up. And now will the Sens take a 3-1 lead in this game in New York? Yes, they will. So the Sens are 1 game away from their first Eastern Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals since 2007, when they played the Buffalo Sabres before going to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Anaheim Ducks. And Chicago is on to the Western Conference Finals just like that as they defeat St. Louis in 5. Next game, and San Jose defeats Calgary in 5 as well. So Chicago and San Jose are your Western Conference finalists. And then in the East, Toronto has taken a 3-2 lead on Columbus. And the Sens get on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Wow. Not what I was expecting, but we get onto the Eastern Conference Finals. And it might be against the Leafs if they could beat Columbus here, which they are not going to do. So there's a game 7 between Columbus and Toronto. Who's going to the Stanley Cup Finals? And it's going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jesus. So Toronto's somehow going to surprise everybody this year, and it's going to be a Toronto-Ottawa Eastern Conference Finals. And then you got Chicago and San Jose. So that's interesting. So game number 1, San Jose takes game 1. So surprisingly, the Chicago Blackhawks lose a game. And game 1 of the Battle of Ontario is going to be won by the Ottawa Senators. So it currently looks like San Jose and Ottawa in the finals, but don't count the other teams out. And Chicago has tied the series at 1-1. Will the Sens take a 2-0 lead? Yes, they will. So it might be in Ottawa. Ottawa might be in the Stanley Cup Finals if this is accurate. And Chicago is taking a 2-1 lead on San Jose now with back-to-back wins. And the Sens lose that game, so the Leafs are crawling back into it as well. San Jose needs to win this game, but they lose, and that's three straight losses for San Jose. And Chicago is 1 win away from another Stanley Cup Finals appearance. Sens looking to take a 3-1 lead on Toronto, but they do not. So Toronto is forced up to a game 6. Will Chicago go on to the Stanley Cup Finals? No, they won't. San Jose pulls back within 1 and still has a chance to win the series. Now Ottawa looking to take a lead on Toronto, and they do. So currently Ottawa and Chicago are both 1 game away from the Stanley Cup Finals. And no, Chicago loses again. So San Jose crawls back from a 3-1 deficit and forces a game 7 in Chicago. And Ottawa, will they go to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time? No, they won't. Well, it's the second time in franchise history, but still, they lose that game. So it's a game 7 in both Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Chicago versus San Jose and Toronto versus Ottawa. So let's slow some these games just because these ones are important and huge game 7. So first period, and San Jose strikes first. Joe Pavelski beating Corey Crawford. Second period, and still 1-0 for San Jose. Martin Jones is keeping them in this as Chicago's out shooting San Jose 32-15. Third period underway. Will the Blackhawks manage to go back to the Stanley Cup Finals, or will the Sharks go back to the Stanley Cup Finals for back-to-back seasons? They've defeated the Edmonton Oilers. They've defeated, who was it in the second round? I don't remember, but they defeated somebody in the second round to get here. And Mikkel Bodker gets the empty netter, and the San Jose Sharks are on to the Stanley Cup Finals for the second year in a row, as Martin Jones makes 44 saves, and Joe Pavelski gets the game-winning goal. So San Jose on to the Stanley Cup Finals. They were down 3-1, but managed to rally back and win in 7. And now Ottawa and Toronto. This is a nerve-wracking game if you're a fan of both of these teams, or one of these teams, I mean. So, first period, and it's 3-0 Sens. That's what I'd like to see. Tommy Wingles getting the first goal of the game, followed by Bobby Ryan, who struggled during the regular season kind of this year. He had a few injuries too, and then Mike Hoffman continues to score in this playoffs. So it's a 3-0 lead for the Ottawa Senators after the first period. Second period, and it's 5-0 Ottawa. So the Leafs are just having one of those games where they blow it, as Dion Phaneuf says a big fuck you to Toronto, and he scores 2 goals in the second period. And this game should be all and over, as Frederik Andersen allows like 5 goals on probably it's going to be like 30-something shots, which is not good at all for Toronto fans, but it's good for Sens fans like me. So, and the Leafs managed to get one as Austin Matthews breaking Craig Anderson's shutout, but that's all she's going to write, I believe. Yep, that's all she wrote. And the Sens are going to face the San Jose Sharks in the Stanley Cup Finals. Interesting. So the Sens have to play another California team in the Stanley Cup Finals. And we got home ice, I think. Or, well, maybe not home ice. I don't know if it's actually going to be home ice in real life if the Sens got to the Stanley Cup Finals. Because I don't know if we finished with more points than San Jose did or not. So, okay, game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals in Ottawa. I'd be working this game because I work in Canadian Tire Center. So, first period, and San Jose has a 1-0 lead. Second period, and it's a blown open game as Thomas Hertl had 2 goals to make it 2-0 San Jose. And then Ryan Dzingel and Kyle Turris rally back late in the second period, and it's a 2-2 game going into the third period. Who will take game number 1? Power play for the Sens, and Dzingel scores his second of the night, but followed up by Brent Burns a minute later, making it a 3-3 game here in the third period. Time winding down here in the third. It looks like we might have an overtime coming up. And yes, we do. So this game is going to overtime in game 1. Tight game, and shots are pretty even. Goals are obviously even. Who's going to get the OT winner for either side? Shots are still pretty even. Holy crap. It's an even matchup probably. And the Ottawa Senators are going to get it done. Chris Weidman takes it, and the Ottawa Senators are 3 games away from winning a Stanley Cup. I don't know if this is accurate at all. As a Sens fan, I'd like to hope so, but I don't know if we could get this far this season. So, game 2, first period, and Bobby Ryan scores to make it 1-0 Ottawa. Second period, and it's 2-0 Ottawa, Dion Phaneuf. You know what, we're just going to quick sim through these first couple of games until we get to the last game where a team could win the Stanley Cup. So, and third period, and it's 3-0 win for the Ottawa Senators is Victor Stahlberg getting it done, and Craig Anderson coming up with a big shutout, and the Sens are 2 games away from the Stanley Cup, apparently. Now game number 3 in San Jose, first period, and Sens score again first. Bobby Ryan's been on fire this series. That's 3 goals, I believe. It's 1-0 again for Ottawa. Second period, and it's 3-1 Ottawa's. Melker Karlsson tied the game up, but Kyle Turris and Alexander Burrows come through with some goals, and it's 3-1 Ottawa going into the third period. Third period, and the Sens are going to win it 5-1 as Mark Borowiecki even gets a goal, and then Kyle Turris gets another one. And the Sens are 1 game away from sweeping the San Jose Sharks in the Stanley Cup Finals. So yeah, this is kind of inaccurate at all. We're going to jump into the game once the thing done so you guys can see the celebration with the Stanley Cup. First period, San Jose has the lead. Second period, and it's 1-1 going into the third. So San Jose on the brink of elimination with a tie game in the third period. Not looking good for them. They're out shooting though, and they managed to grab the lead as Joe Pavelski, I think he's the captain, comes through with a huge goal. Is that all she needs though to lock up the game? And empty netter, no empty netter, and it's a 2-1 win for San Jose as they fight off elimination for their fans. And now the Sens have a chance to win the Stanley Cup on home ice, which I kind of hope they don't do this season, because since I work in Canadian Tire Center, I don't want to be working when they win the Stanley Cup, I'd rather be at home watching it on TV. So first period, and San Jose has a 2-0 lead. Not good for the Sens. Second period, and the Sens rally back with a goal as Erik Karlsson gets one from the point, and the Sens are within one in the third period. They need another to tie it up and another to maybe win the Stanley Cup in front of their hometown crowd, or else there's a chance San Jose could tie up the series back in San Jose. It's going to be another 2-1 game. No, it's not. Mike Hoffman ties the game up, and we might have an overtime. No, we will not. Maybe Joe Pavelski gives the lead for the Sharks. Oh, and Joe Pavelski gets the empty netter. So Pavelski coming through with some big goals in the series, and the Sharks are going to win 4-2. And the series is now going to be 3-2, and we have a game 6 in San Jose. So this is still anybody's series. If the Sharks come back from a 3-0 deficit, that would bite me and the other Sens fans in the ass, pretty much. And it's 1-1 after one, as JG Pageau tied the game up after Thomas Hertl took the lead for the Sharks. Second period, and the Sens have the lead as Dion Phaneuf gets maybe the Stanley Cup winning goal. Let's see if the Sens could hold on and win their first Stanley Cup in modern day era. Time winding down in this game. Let's put it down to 4 times simulation. Power play for San Jose. They don't get it done. Oh, and the Sens score. Kyle Turris makes it 3-1. That's a big goal. Looks like my Sens are going to win the Stanley Cup in 6 games in San Jose. Once we get it down to a minute, let's get it in there, and we will jump into watching the game. Just because, why not? Just to end off this video. It's a bit of a long video, so sorry about that, guys, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'll let you guys watch, and yeah, that's it for this video, so hope you liked it. Yeah, thanks guys for watching. See you guys next time.
Snapping a pass to Vlasic. On to Ryan. Pressing on with it up the wing. Speared along by Braun.
Ryan's trying to do way too much there with that offensive opportunity.
Nicely into the zone. Decides to head for the corner. And gathered in by Karlsson. The Senators have control of the puck in their own end. Picks it up back there. Karlsson's got it in the defensive zone, headed to center. And possession established on the pickup by Vlasic. And sent down to Turris. Fires! Not through! Oh, Pochek saved one there. Taken away. Wonderful save.
Oh, that was a reactionary save.
Gets across, looks over his options. Takes it right back. A ripper from the point. Terrific glove save. And he'll hold on. Tied up, but a good reach and a good step in there for possession. A long game, and the clock leads down to the final minute of regulation. Picks it up in his own end. Pitching it to Thornton. Chip to Ceci. San Jose's pulling their goalie for the extra man. Now it's directed. Score! San Jose's got another face-off win. Pitching this one to Zingle. And the puck taken hold of by Martin. And they've got it again. San Jose is in possession and moving up the wing. Puck covered, whistle blown. The Senators with a face-off win. And the pickup. The Senators up the wing lock the puck.
Scooped up by Mark.
What a dream realized for so many of these athletes and all their fans. Your name goes on it, the Stanley Cup. And the game is over. The series is over. These are the Stanley Cup champions. These guys started back in the fall. Their dream was to be at this very moment, and the dream is realized. It is a most noble part of a collision sport, an exhausting series of games. Handshakes replace all the adrenaline from the last hours. The playoff MVP gets the Conn Smythe Trophy, and here is the winner. It's often said it's the hardest prize to win because it takes 8 weeks. And by tradition, the captain is the first to hold it high.
Okay guys, I forgot one thing I wanted to do before ending this video, so I wanted to quickly show you guys the player stats for the playoffs at the end of all the playoffs. So the Senators managed to win the Stanley Cup. So I don't know if that was meant to happen or not, because I did record this, or I am recording this live still. So it's kind of funny how my favorite team wins the cup still. But so the Sens go 16-9 and win the Stanley Cup in the 2016-17 season, so exactly 10 years after they lost their first Stanley Cup Finals against the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. So, or well, yeah, they were kind of Mighty Ducks, whatever they're called back then. So Joe Pavelski led the league in points, but Kyle Turris was right behind him. Bobby Ryan was up there. Patrick Kane, Joe Thornton, Erik Karlsson was the best defenseman in the playoffs. Matthews actually had a ton of points, even though he didn't get to that Stanley Cup Finals. He had 15 points in 21 games. But that means the Leafs went to 3 Game 7s, I think, to get to the Stanley Cup or to the Eastern Conference Finals, only to be eliminated. So it sucks for you guys, Leaf fans. And finally, Craig Anderson, who won the Conn Smythe, as you saw, 2.02 goals against average, and he went 15-7 and a .932 save percentage. So that's it for this little video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. See you guys next time.